Hello, and welcome to the Restore Her podcast, the podcast that helps women become healed, enlightened, and renewed. Transparent stories, expert interviews, and information for women who need to hit the reset button and reconnect with themselves in order to restore and rejuvenate. And now, the Restore Her podcast with your host, Cheryl Lacey Donovan. Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to the Restore Her podcast, where HER stands for healing, enlightenment, enrichment, and renewal. And we are trying to do that for women each and every day with this podcast and our other platforms in several different areas of their lives. Restore her identity, restore her spirit, restore her emotions, restore her purpose, restore her health, restore her finances. All of these are key areas in women's lives that if we don't work on it on a regular basis and we're not intentional, we can get lost in the shuffle. And I know somebody out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. And on tonight, we want to welcome to the podcast none other than Lady Patricia Anderson. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. I am just so excited about, this podcast and all of what it stands for, because we need that this day and age. Women need to be empowering other women to let them know that everything is possible.
Absolutely. And I happen to know, Lady Anderson, that you are one of those individuals that loves to do exactly what we're talking about, that through all of the various platforms, through your company and your conference that you have every year. I know that for you, women are near and dear to your heart, just like they are to mine. So what I want to do right now is give you an opportunity to kind of let our listeners know who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name is Patricia Anderson, known as Lady P, and I am an event manager. I am professionally, and on my professional job, I am a project manager. But I've been doing event management and project management for over 15 years, and that's something I have a passion with. I have a passion with helping people to make their dreams and their vision manifest in the way that they want to see them. The outcome, for a positive outcome, so that they can share their vision and their dreams and their hopes with others. So that's something that I do. I'm also an author, and so I have written my second book that just came out on Amazon. My first book was Life Happens, and with that book I talked about having unbelievable outcomes. Even though your life didn't start the way that you would have wanted it to start, it doesn't matter. You still can have unbelievable outcomes in life, and always know that life is going to continue to happen to you. But once you get knocked down, pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving in faith, and keep moving, making decisions by faith. Keep moving in what you know God has promised you, and don't take your focus off of Him. And my second book is called From Pain to Purpose. And in this book, God has allowed me to be transparent with others. I used to be afraid to tell people my story and to be transparent with them. And it talks about my divorce. It talks about my suicide attempt of taking 300 pills and drinking gasoline, and I'm still here. And it also talks about my molestation as a child, as I was molested, and it talks about being raped. And so it talks about various things of that, but I'm still here. So it's called From Pain to Purpose, Broken Pieces. And in that book, I'm saying goodbye to different things, goodbye to neglect, goodbye to fear, goodbye to things that were holding me from being who I wanted to be. And so I'm no longer afraid to share my story and feel embarrassed or ashamed of who I was, because I know who God said I was. So it validates me. And so I also have a conference. It's called Always Be a Lady. And I want to bring women together to inspire, to encourage, to uplift other women, and also let people know it's not about the outside appearance. It's about the inward you. Being a lady means sometimes we have to keep our mouth closed when we don't want to, because we know that we shouldn't be saying that. So being a lady can mean different things. And so in this conference, I bring together other ladies that can share with you on how you can execute in being a lady always. You know, being a lady that has faith, that's walking in faith, being a lady that's unbreakable, being a lady, you know, that knows who she is and is confident. Even if you don't know who you are, by the time you lead a conference, you're going to walk away with something to execute. You're going to have some resources and people to contact to help you to get your vision fulfilled and your dreams fulfilled. And if you have stopped dreaming, it's okay to dream again. And if that dream didn't manifest, it's okay to have another dream. It's all right. You can dream again, and your dreams can come true. And I just want to invite you guys out on September the 28th to Always Be a Lady. It's going to be at the Crossing Community Center on West Orange, where my pastor is Pastor Harvey M. Walker, and my first lady is Minister Louetta Walker, and it is going to be an experience like no other. And I just thank you, Minister Cheryl, for just having me on this podcast. I'm super excited about what you're doing for women. And it just, you know, just to repair them, to heal them, because we all need healing. And sometimes we don't realize that we aren't healed, and we need God to take the layers off. And, you know, I could keep talking, but I'm going to let you.
I was getting ready to say, okay, everybody, that's the end of the podcast. See you later now. But listen, no, you hit on some of, my goodness, first of all, just, you know, how the enemy will trick us into believing that we need to keep our story to ourselves, especially as believers, and make us think, no, everybody needs to think that everything has always been hunky-dory and you've always been where you are right now. No, that is a trick of the enemy. He doesn't want our testimony to get out there, because he knows if we start telling our testimonies and sharing with people about the way that God has delivered us and freed us from bondage, that people will be able to begin to live the lives that God has intended for them to live, and he does not like that. So I am grateful that you got to a point where you wrote a book where you could be transparent. Most of my books is exactly what I did. I wanted to be able to tell my testimony, because like you, for a long time, some of that stuff I held it in, and it was all bottled up, and nobody, you know, you can't know that God is a healer if nobody ever tells you how he heals them. You never know how God can be a deliverer if nobody ever opens up with their testimony and say, look, God delivered me from X, Y, and Z. So I really believe that in such a time as this, that God is calling particularly the women of God to stand up and open up their mouths and tell these testimonies, so that other women who believe that they're the only one that has ever been in that situation can recognize and understand that, yes, you can be healed. Yes, you can be restored. Yes, you can be enlightened and renewed if you would just allow, you know, look at me. Look at what God has done with me. I'm not the only one.
Yes, that is so true. And that's what it is. So many times we're competing as women in the kingdom, and there's no competition in the kingdom. And I like to make that clear. There is no competition, because nobody can beat Cheryl being Cheryl. Nobody can beat Patricia being Patricia. Nobody can beat you being you. You are who God made you to be, and you are the best you can be. And for you to walk in that is so important, because we like to hide behind these masks. And I was one of those. I raised my hand first. Hide behind the makeup, the clothes, the mask, and that smile that you give, and going home broken, going home feeling defeated, because you know that was just a mask that you wore for the public to see, and you weren't helping anybody. But then again, I didn't have people that would help me. I didn't have anybody to tell me my story. The people I saw, they looked all perfect. They wasn't being transparent. So I believe God is bringing to the forefront women as ourselves, especially you, Minister Cheryl, to share your story, to let them know that, hey, you know, we love God. But we haven't always been in this place. We haven't always walked in confidence. We hadn't always had the security of knowing that God is the only one that needs to validate me, and it doesn't matter what man or woman says about me. It only matters what God says about me. And so we have to walk into it.
Absolutely. And, you know, you use one of the C words that we see a lot in the kingdom, and that is competition. But the other one that I see a lot of is comparison. We do a whole lot of comparison. I can't sing like her, or I can't speak like her, or I can't minister like her. You're not supposed to. That's not what God called you to. He called you to something specific and unique. And I'm telling you, when I really got delivered from that was when the Lord basically said to me one day, listen, if you don't start doing what I have ordained you to do, I've anointed you to do, then the people's blood is going to be on your hands. And, oh, my goodness. I was like, Lord, I surrender. Listen, I am sorry. Because you know how we do? We compare ourselves with somebody else. Oh, Lord, I'm not going to ever be able to do that like them. That, they got all that together. And then he said, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. There's a particular people. There are some people that only you and your word and your testimony is going to be able to pierce them enough that they would want to do something to transform and change their lives. But while you're sitting over here worried about whether or not your words are going to come together like whomever, Joyce Myers, Juanita Bynum, whomever you think you need to be sounded like, at the end of the day, those people's blood is on your hands. They can't get to where they need to be. They can't get into position because you're not in position, because you're worried about what you're going to look like and what you're going to say.
That's good. That's good stuff right there, because we're not called to everybody, but the ones that we're called to, they're laying stagnant because we won't get in the position of God. And so I can honestly tell you, when God freed me, and he had to separate me from some folks, and I thank God I didn't understand what he was doing when he did that process. And it's not that I was any better than anybody. It's not that it wasn't that, but God wanted me to listen to him. He wanted me to have that ear to hear him. He wanted to be the loudest voice in my ear. He didn't want others to be the loudest. And so he woke me up early one morning in November in 2017. He said, Patricia, focus on the revelation and not the explanation. Stop explaining yourself to people why you do what you do. If I told you to do it, that's enough. You ain't got to explain yourself to nobody else. You do it the way I gave it to you to do it. You can't copycat and do it any other way. You speak what I told you to speak. Yeah, people don't like my voice. They say I'm too loud. They say this. They say, God, how can I go out and do what you will me to do? How can I go out and preach your word? How can I go out and speak to these people when I know that I'm not equipped? He said, come here, Moses. Jesus. He said, come here, Moses. A lot of times we feel like we're not equipped, but God is qualifying us and equipping us for a time and a season such as this. And so that's what we have to remember. God equipped us. I can't worry about her saying, oh, I didn't receive. Well, it wasn't for you. It wasn't for God. It wasn't for you. It's okay.
Podcast lady, hold on. Oh, my gosh, we up here looking like Brother Moses, sounding like Brother Moses, giving him all these excuses. And the Lord said, well, wait a minute, but I created you, so whatever it is that you lack, if you would just surrender to me, I got this. I just need a vessel. I just need you to go and do what I told you to do. The rest of it is going to follow through.
That's it. You said it. That is so amazing. And then we have to remember what he told Jesus and what Jesus told us, when he told the disciples. He said, greater works would you do down here. If we're going to do greater works than what he did, why aren't we performing and why aren't we seeing the manifestation of those greater works? Because we're doubting the power of God that he has rested inside of us. We're not coming into the power. We're praying, but we're not seeing any manifestation of anything.
Yep,
and so
that is so true. It's so true. Because I think about the disciples, and they actually walked and talked with him all that time. And looked like every time somebody came to them to try to get them to cast out a demon or something, well, Lord, why wasn't we able to? Why we couldn't? And he, how much longer do I have to suffer with y'all? How much longer? I can just hear Jesus saying, oh, ye of little faith. And, you give a good talk. You talk a good talk when you're talking about, I have faith. But then when a whirlwind comes, a little storm comes through, all of a sudden, you got, wait a minute, I thought you had faith. Why are you over here looking like that? Did you say you had faith? You either have it or you don't. You either have it or you don't. And we're walking around now, particularly in this dispensation of time, and wondering, well, Lord, why is this happening? Why is that happening? And why? Well, it's because the people of God are not in position. It's my people. who are called by my name. Y'all will do what I told you to do. Seek my face. That's the first thing. Y'all seek everybody else, Oprah and Deepak Chopra and Dr. Phil and all them folks. You seek everybody else but me. You even seek the bishop and the pastor. Seek my face. Seek me first, the kingdom of heaven and all of it. Seek me. Seek me. If you do that, and you humble yourself, and some of us got a problem with that, especially in the kingdom. We need we need an entourage everywhere we go. Amen. And humble yourself. Look, if I have an armor bearer, what I need you to do for me is pray. I know how to carry my own Bible and my own water. I can do that. But can you pray? Can you get a prayer through to heaven when my arms need to be held up? Can you get a prayer through to heaven when I'm dealing with something in my own? That's what I need in an armor bearer. I'm just saying. But humble yourself.
That's it. That's it.
Right. Seek my face and then turn from your wicked ways. Then I can hear. See, those are prerequisites. Prerequisites, yes. And if you can't do it,
we don't know how to follow all the instructions, the full instructions. We might do a couple of them, but we don't follow the full instructions. And once you start following the full instructions of God, and stop following the instructions of somebody else that came and interrupted what God was saying to you. And God told you. Stop telling them. Stop listening to them when God got in the instructions. Because he said, I will make your name great and bring you before great men. He said nothing about this person, that person, or whatever. Go bring you before great. He said he would do it. He said he would make your name great and bring you before great men. But we don't want to follow instructions. We want to do what we want to do when we want to do it and how we want to do it. Okay, God, I heard you say turn from your wicked ways, but I can't forgive my sister, God. I'm still struggling with this with my brother, God. This person did this, or this person said that to me. But what did I tell you? What did I tell you? That's where I'm at now in my life. It's like, okay, they can say anything they want to me, have whatever kind of opinion they want about me. But what did God say about me, and what instructions has he given me? And so you have got to pray the prayer of God, open my blinded eyes, and open my deaf ears so I can see and hear what you're saying to me so that I can follow the instructions of God. I'm telling you, I'm excited about this thing. I used to be not excited about sisterhood, but I'm excited about this thing because God is bringing women to the forefront. And he's saying women that you wouldn't think that would be there.
Right, exactly.
He's making the ordinary extraordinary. People that discounted people because of the way they look, the way they talk, or the way they act, or their perception of what it is, not the reality of what God said. But if we look back at the Bible, everybody that God used had some infirmities, had some issues, had some challenges. He didn't use anybody that didn't have that. So when we see these people that are holier than thou, please believe me, they didn't get there by just being holier than thou. Or if they are and they haven't been through anything, they're not holier than thou. So we just have to trust God.
Yep, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. I was thinking about you talking about the instructions, following the instructions. I think back when the kids was little and we were in there trying to, put bikes together and all these little different contraptions that we bought for them together. And if you didn't follow the instructions when you got done, you might have had 2 or 3 little pieces or so, a screw over here and a washer over there, and because you didn't follow the instructions. So now the whatever it is that you're getting ready to give them to play with or whatever is not necessarily going to work properly because you left some pieces out. You left some stuff out. You tried to do it without reading the instruction manual, without reading the instructions. And often we do that even in ministry. We want to go forth. The Lord shows us something that we're supposed to do, and we want to jump ahead of him and don't want to sit and listen and wait for him to download the instructions, and we jump out there by ourselves. And then when it doesn't look like or doesn't become what we think that it's supposed to become, then we want to run back to him and say, oh, Lord, wait a minute, fix this. What happened? Why is this? I know what you told me. Well, yeah, because you didn't wait for the instructions. So you missing some pieces. You missing a screw here. You missing a nail over there. That's why it's not, because there's some stuff that's missing. And I need you to come back and give you the instructions.
Not only did you not follow the instructions of God, you trying to fix something that God didn't ordain. Stop trying to fix stuff that God didn't ordain for you to do. You trying to give God something and say, God, you bless this, instead of allowing Him to give it to you and saying that it is blessed, because it is blessed when He give it to you. Because you're not listening, and those instructions are so important, and that means that we have to get in our word. Mm-hmm. And not only just reading the Bible, you got to pray and ask God for clarity about this thing.
And you got to study. You got to study. The Bible is clear. Study to show yourself approved. And I tell people, I don't mind. I will have all kind of map pencils and markers and concordance and a map, just all kind of stuff, because I want to make sure that I clearly understand what's written down in the Word, what the context was, what was happening during that period of time. All of that is important in order to get a true revelatory word from God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's study. And a lot of people will say, oh, I read the Bible cover to cover. I said, that's the problem. All you did was read. That's the problem. You just read. You're right. You sure did. You read it from cover to cover, and you can quote some scripture, but did you study? Did you ask God? Did you sit down long enough in His presence and in His face for Him to download something into you? Because I don't know about anybody else. Every time I read the Bible, there is something new that I discover. And I'm like, Lord, I done heard that 23rd number of Psalms, I don't know how many times, but I've always thought when He said, thou shalt not kill and steal, that it was something physical, thou shalt not commit adultery. And He said, now you can steal people's hopes, you can steal people's dreams, you can kill people's vision, you commit adultery against me every day because I'm supposed to be your first love, but you over here running after something else, $1 or a six-figure house or whatever. I said, Lord, have mercy. But see, that's what happens when you study and wait on the Lord to give you a revelatory understanding of the Word. And when you know better, you can do better. It's not just that superficial, I just read this and I can recite this really well. No, I need you to be able to figure out how to apply that thing to your life.
Right, especially when life is happening to you and when you're going through some things, and that Word it becomes alive and active, as my coach, Pastor Chica, would say. The Word is alive and it's active. And so it was never more active for me than a year ago when my mom passed, and God brought it to me. He brought Joshua 1 to me. And, okay, he told Joshua, hey, just like I was with Moses, I will be with you. He told him everywhere that your feet should tread, the sole of your feet should tread, that I give you, I give you every place. And so he told him, God told him these things. He told him to be of good courage. He told him all this in Joshua 1. So that was my comforter coming to me to tell me, you got some things, I got some things I want you to do. And because these things are happening to you doesn't mean that you stop doing what I told you to do.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to be with you.
Wow.
I'm going to be with you. And and that's with that studying that you're talking about. Studying that Bible and how that Psalms 23 and those different scriptures will come to you when you're faced with life difficulty, because you've already been prepared and you already know what to war against, the mind, the battlefield of the mind, as Joyce Myers would say, your mind is the first thing thoughts that come to your mind. Sometimes you got to rebuke your own mind and say, oh, no, that's not what God said. Oh, no, I know that. There's a scripture for this. Let me go find it. You ain't got to memorize every scripture. But you got to know that there's something in the Word to help you through your difficult times in life. And every time I get ready to try to accomplish something happens. Either there's a death in my family. So, I've had 3 deaths in my family in a month.
Wow.
And I'm trying to do this conference. I'm trying to get my book launched. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But God had to remind me who He was. I'm still your God. I'm still your comforter. I had to learn how to war in the Spirit. I had to learn how to speak the positive things into my life. I had to learn to speak the scriptures over my life and to walk in it. So that all of those are learned behaviors. But if you don't study their words, you don't have no foundation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, Lady T, it has been a pleasure speaking with you here on the Restore Her podcast. I want to give you an opportunity one more time to let the listeners know how they can participate in your Always Be a Lady conference. I plan to be there at least a portion of the time because I refuse to miss it this year. I'm going to be in the place. So let them know how they can be a part of that and also how they can reach out to you or get in touch with you.
Okay. I actually do have a website that I launched this week. Thank you, God. So my website is www.ladypandassociates.com. So when you go on that website, it gives you all my contact information. It shows you how you can register for the event. It also, you can go on to Eventbrite, Always Be a Lady 2019, to register for the conference on September the 28th. But all of my contact information and all of that is on my actual website. You can also contact me through Facebook Messenger, Patricia Anderson, from Houston, Texas. So you can also contact me through there. I am so excited and glad that to have the opportunity to be on this podcast with you today, Minister Cheryl. I can't thank you enough. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the place on September the 28th. You are going to be in for a treat.
I believe it. I believe it, and I plan on receiving everything that God has for me. Listen, y'all, I already have my registration. I've registered already for next weekend's Always Be a Lady conference. You all need to do the same thing. Go over to ladypandassociates.com so that you can learn more about how you can register. I'm sure you can also learn more about the books that she has available and on her social media platform. You said it's Patricia Anderson, right?
Yes.
All righty, y'all. We're looking forward to seeing you in the place. It has been truly a pleasure here at the Restore Her podcast. We look forward to seeing you every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here on Spreaker.com. I also want to remind you that in order to reach out to me on all my social media platforms, it is Cheryl Speaks Now. Cheryl is spelled with a C. Cheryl Speaks Now. Also, my website is www.CherylSpeaks.org. Again, www.CherylSpeaks.org. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Restore Her podcast. Have a great evening.